It's 9:01 and I'm going to call this meeting to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Chaplin.
Here.
Desart.
Here.
Hart.
Here.
Ozog.
Here.
Tornatori. Zay. We have a quorum.
Okay, good. Thank you. Any public comment today? No? All right. Next, I'll move for approval of minutes.
So moved.
Okay, and a second? Second. Okay. Any comments, corrections, etc.? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, good. Okay, next we move to consent items. The first consent item with Knight EA, contract extension to November 30th, 2022 to provide on-call professional architectural and engineering services to complete design and bid documents for the JTK Administration Building and as needed. No change to contract total.
So moved.
Second. Okay. Any discussion about this? Questions? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. Thank you.
Mary.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Any public comment?
They already went through that,
Yeah, we didn't have any public comment. Okay,
unless
great.
you want to say something.
Okay. All right, next we'll move to item B. I'd like a motion to approve Knight EA contract extension to November 30th, 2022 to provide on-call professional architectural and engineering services to complete design, cost estimate, and bid documents for projects at Animal Services, the Care Center, jail, and as needed.
So moved.
No change to contract total. Okay. Any comments, discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Okay, next, with Gulf Acquisition Group, doing business as Gulf Construction, contract extension in November 30th, 2021 is necessary to complete the priority repairs at 479 and 509 parking structures. No change to contract total.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion or questions about this? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed? Great. Thank you. Next up, a consent item, Integral Construction Incorporated, time extension only, no change in contract.
So moved.
Okay. And any comments or changes? Member Desart.
Yeah, Nick, I did want to hear more information about this. Underground fuel system removed, EPA has to test the soil around the system and it could take months to do. Can you just talk about the project a little bit?
Yeah, that's our, I don't know, if you wanted to go forward with that one, I mean, we can, it's actually one of our key projects we've done and we're very proud of it, so go ahead.
Yeah, this is our underground storage tanks.
Yeah.
We moved those to above ground storage tanks. So all this is to give the EPA time to mitigate that. We anticipate there is no fuel spillage. The preliminary samples tested well, but then there's a review period for the EPA. So that's the reason for the extension. It's just a procedure we have to go through.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll keep our fingers
Yeah,
crossed.
I didn't have a question about the extension, just there were only 2 pages in the packet about this, and I just wanted to hear the backstory. I just didn't know.
And our fuel station down at Woodbridge actually serves a number of other municipalities and government agencies as well, but it's, we moved locations entirely. This will close down the old site while the new site's up and running. So it's a great new facility.
Good. Do we have any other underground fuel storage tanks throughout the system?
There are underground fuel storage. I mean, the main DOT here in Wheaton is all underground.
Okay.
Ridge.
Are there any
Burr
plans
Ridge,
to?
there's some, so we do have other underground, but from a liability standpoint, obviously moving above ground when you can,
Right.
but it's all about the size of the tanks. I mean, the ones up here are going to be difficult to move above ground when they do. These are so big.
Thank you. I just wanted to hear the backstory. Thank you. Thank you, Madam
Okay.
Chair.
We have a motion and a second. Any further comments or discussions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, payment of claims, Public Works and Facilities Management.
Second.
Okay. Any comments, discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, professional services. I'm going to move to approve DTP 033521 recommendation for the approval of a contract to Huff and Huff Incorporated for professional environmental screening services upon request of the Division of Transportation, Public Works and Facilities Management for a contract total not to exceed $250,000 professional services vetted through a qualification-based selection process in compliance with the Illinois Local Government Professional Services Selection Act.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comments or discussions on this item? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
No opposed, great, thank you. Okay, move for acceptance of PWP 033821. Recommendation for the approval of a contract to J. Congdon Sewer Services for a water main extension in the Timberlake subdivision for Public Works for the period August 24th, 2021 through June 1st, 2022. Oh, certainly. We'll back up for a moment, and how about if we just finish the motion in second? For total contract amount not to exceed $805,009.63 per lowest responsible bid. So I have motion and a second. Yep. Okay, and under discussion, we're going to have a PowerPoint.
Yeah, we'll make this very quick. We're pretty proud of this. We want to give you guys 2-3 slides here just to kind of let you know. So obviously, pretty straightforward contract with J. Congdon to build a water main extension in Timberlake, but it's an interesting project. Down in the Timberlake area, this is kind of the last area that the residents don't have water. The reason why they don't, I mean, they've been offered water, had the option to do SSAs several times, but it's been so terrible expensive because it's just kind of spread out and it doesn't lend itself well, and the cost per house was pretty high.
Lake Michigan.
Lake Michigan water, correct.
We
So
assume they have water.
yeah, Lake Michigan. So it's never
Sorry.
really worked out, but everybody else down there has
Yes.
Lake Michigan water. So this has kind of been one of those areas that just hasn't been able to solve the riddle of how to afford it. So next slide. There it is. So basically a project real quick, 3,900, and this is what J. Congdon is going to be building, 3,900 feet of water main, Lake Michigan water, 29 homes. So not a huge area, but those 29 homes feel like it's pretty necessary project, all on private wells. And we're anticipating starting in September, and they will have Lake Michigan water yet this year. The next slide is the interesting one. We were able to afford this project, and we went to the residents. And early, Senator Curran actually secured $400,000 from the state of Illinois, and it turned it so they were comparable to the other residents who previously received Lake Michigan water. So the total cost to them is going to be $396,000 for those remaining 29 residents. We're not doing an SSA because it's such a small project. So what we're recommending, and we still have to, we've met, Sean and his team met with the residents originally, just a kind of a tentative idea, and they were all on board. But now we have to get some actually signatures and let them know the final numbers on we bid it. So our recommendation is that the department pay the $396 up front so we get this project built. And then we've done it many times in the past in small projects like this. We will basically finance it for the homeowners. We'll offer them a 4-year deal. They pay it back over 4 years, 2% interest. It comes out to about $296 per month or $593 bi-monthly payment. They can also pay up front if they want to, but no one is going to be required to hook on. But now Lake Michigan, that option is now available to all of them. So I guess I just want to see kind of concurrence. If the committee's okay with us extending that offer, what we would probably do is we want to meet with the homeowners in the next, Sean, couple weeks probably, and let them know. We'll start getting agreements lined out, and we can bring it. We'll probably bring something back officially to have this committee sign off, but we just wanted to get your concurrence that you guys are okay with this deal. This goes in line with what we've done for smaller projects like this previously.
Member Chapman.
Thank you. Okay, so this is a great project. You know, this is like I really like seeing wells hook up to lake water. It's really a great project. With regards to the 4-year financing, now, are you guys, would you put that on their tax bill or on their
No,
water bill? On their
It's
water
not, it's
bill?
not on their tax bill
Okay,
because it's
great.
not an SSA.
Okay,
And,
okay,
and somebody, they would only be charged this if they hooked in. And
Exactly.
then it would be on their water bill. So
exactly.
they're making the choice, if
Yep.
maybe they wait until their well fails and then they can hook on. But the one thing, if they hook on now, they have this payment option. If
Right,
they hook on 7 years, it would be an upfront payment.
right. I think it's really great that you're offering this payment option. I mean, I think it's great. I hope the committee supports it because I think it's, it's very expensive to hook up to water. And I think the payment option really helps people, allows them to hook up. So, yeah, I think it's a great project and good job, everyone.
Sean and his team really pushed this thing forward, so.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's great.
Now, is there a prepayment option if they were to decide to
They can pay it upfront if they want to.
upfront, or would they
Certainly.
pay it along the way if they?
Yeah,
decide?
so
There's
they
no-
can either,
No prepayment penalty.
no, they can either pay up front and be
Okay.
done with it. They can pay it over 4 years and have that, we'll
Okay.
finance it for them, or at any time in the future,
Okay.
when they decide to hook up, they can pay at that time. So they have several options available to them.
But you're only gonna offer the financing if they sign up.
Right, and we'll give them a
Okay.
deadline, a date certain they have to sign up for the financing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds great. I think this sounds like a real nice improvement. Member Hart?
Yeah, I just would agree. I think this is gonna be really great for the community down there. I know this is something I've been talking about a lot, and Nick, just want to thank you for your work on it. I think it's going to be a great gift for the Timberlake community, so thank you.
It's a big home improvement for these people.
Sure it is.
It does a lot to home value.
Has there been preliminary talks? You say there's 29. What if only 20 do it?
And
Does that change then the whole structure or how?
No, we'll ride the costs. We do that with a number of them. Eventually, what we see, you're right, there will only be probably 22 to 23 to hook up, and the other ones will hold out. What we see is when they sell their house in the future, the new owners require them to hook up. So we just keep a hot list. And so we make back the money. These costs we'll carry it on our books for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, but eventually will be repaid. And then interest does accrue. So the cost to hook up goes up by whatever our investment income is for the year. It'll go up by 1% or 2% or whatever.
Sean, is there a homeowners organization or association down there?
There is, yeah,
There is.
Timberlake's Homeowners Association. We've actually presented this option to them early on before we moved to engineering. And kind of to your point, members, they showed an overwhelming interest even at this cost. We're actually a couple $100
We're a little bit less than what we
less
originally
than
reported.
what we originally showed
So
them.
you'd expect at least 75% participation?
Yeah, I think so, for sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you guys. This sounds like a really great project. All in favor?
Hi.
No opposed. Great, thank you. Now moving on to action items. I move for approval, FMP 033221, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Wheaton Sanitary District for sanitary sewer utility services for the county campus for facilities management for the 4-year period, October 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2025, for a total contract amount not to exceed $1,850,000
So moved.
per competitive bids, not suitable for competitive bids, public utility.
Second.
Okay, any discussion about this? Again, we need water. So all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, no opposed. Next, I move for approval of 2021-72, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Village of Winfield for sanitary sewer utility services for building number 2, standby power facility in the Children's Advocacy Neutral Exchange Center for facilities management for the 4-year period, October 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2025, for a total contract amount not to exceed $24,000, not suitable for competitive bids, public utility.
Second.
Okay. Have a motion and a second. Any comment or discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next up, FMP. I move for approval of FMP 033121, recommendation for the approval of a contract to City of Wheaton for water utility services for the county campus for facilities management for the 4-year period, October 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2025, for a total contract amount not to exceed $2,870,000 per Illinois competitive bids, not suitable for competitive bids, public utility. Second, we have
So moved.
You moved.
I moved,
I
you seconded. Thank you. Okay. Any discussion about this? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, no opposed, great. Next up, FMP 033921. I move for approval of recommendation of the approval of a contract to ComEd for electric utility services for the non-connected county facilities for facilities management for the 4-year period, October 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2025, for a total contract amount not to exceed $50,000,
So moved.
not suitable for
She
competitive
moves.
bids.
So you second?
Oh, you would, I'm sorry, second, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Oh, you moved for
not suitable for competitive bids, public utility. Any discussion about this? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We've taken care of water and electricity. Next, under information, Resolute F, I move for approval of FIR 039321, acceptance of the DuPage County Community Development Commission Agreement number CD 2106 with the DuPage Care Center for the south wing window replacement and installation of a third water heater in the amount of $800,000. This is grant funded through Community Services.
Second.
Motion in the second. Any discussion on this issue? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right.
Chairman Ozak, do you
Yes.
mind if I make a motion to move old business and new business to before the adjournment?
No problem. Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to do just that.
Second.
Okay. All in
Good point.
favor? Okay. All right. In that case, any old business?
Oh,
no, we got the
Oh, I'm sorry. Everyone, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Are you moving it before presentation
Yes.
or
No, I'm moving it
just
to
before
just before
adjournment?
adjournment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just a little bit of housekeeping.
Housekeeping, thank you. Okay. All right. We will go ahead now with our presentation.
Wendy, if you could bring that up.
Okay.
So we will, Jeff will do most of the presentation, but just to kind of kick it off. So we were asked to look at the county board offices and the caucus room to figure out if there's, to maybe make them more usable, update them to figure out what the, costs could be to do that, what the options were. And Jeff has, all the work you see here was done in-house. So Jeff, please take it away and kind of let the options, and ultimately that we're looking for direction from committee, whether we proceed, not proceed, change it, where we go from here.
I'm Jeff Madison, I work in facilities. Like Nick said, we've been looking at some options to update kind of the back of house county board areas. They haven't been touched in quite a while. First option, these are the 6 county board offices and corner office that are actually on this floor, just past the ladies' restroom. And there's a door in the hallway by the men's restroom as well. Currently, it's set up with a corner, larger office with the windows looking out at County Farm. Every district has a small 10 by 10-ish office. They're all set up kind of for one-on-one meetings. Even pre-pandemic, I wouldn't say these were heavily used at all, especially not all 6 or 7 at once. So we started looking into, how could we use these better? Like after committee meetings, if you need to meet with staff or public commenters, maybe you could have a larger workspace, you could have some more people in there to follow up on business that you're working on or other side items. Want to be next slide, please. So we're thinking of, instead of the 6 individual offices, demoing walls and combining them into 3 larger spaces. We keep the corner office as a one-on-one space, just get new chairs in there. We're thinking 2 workrooms. These tables shown are actually the ones we've been using as the social distancing tables in the county boardroom. Someday, we're not gonna have to use those in there anymore. So we want to keep them close to you guys in case we need to use them in the future. We don't want them to go disappear. We would use those as like side working tables where up to 2 members could, put their laptops out, get some papers out, discuss. We're thinking adding kind of a collaborative circle table in case you do kind of want to, if you have different people working, you want to collaborate in the middle, break back out. We would keep the file cabinets in there. We have enough, for 1 drawer per county board member in case you want to keep files and documents locked here outside of your committee days. Currently on the 2nd floor, we have a conference table and 18 side chairs that are just collecting dust. That was intended for county board member and staff to use. It ended up on the 2nd floor, which obviously isn't where you end up spending a lot of your time. So we think moving it up here into one of the larger rooms at the end, that might be a good breakout space. We could always wheel a TV in there. for presentations, that sort of thing. And actually, those 18 chairs are actually all these side chairs in this entire project. The only new chair is the task chair for this corner office. And, you know, we make sure the Wi-Fi is up to par in there. I believe there already is a pretty strong signal. But, you know, all those offices are set up with the individual desktops. I think board members in the 90s, you know, this is where you check your email. And so maybe there was a wait back then, but, you know, nobody touches those anymore. Why don't you go to the next slide, please? So for this area, breaking out the furniture is just those 2 new tables, that chair, internal demoing, painting, utilizing the existing carpeting contract we have if we want to freshen up the carpet in those spaces. So total for that back area is around $7,400.
And that's, you're planning for use of our own in-house personnel. That doesn't include our staff costs, correct?
Correct. We did estimate, you know, 1 day, 2 guys demoing those walls and the electric that's in them. And then, you know, probably another couple days for 1 guy to paint that really long hallway. And then 1 room, or I should say the west wall of all those offices would need to be painted as well. And then touched up once we demo the walls, and, you know, make sure it's flush. Next one. Kind of the bigger idea we've been looking at is the caucus room. It's pretty dated. You know, it shares all the forecasters, which date them at least 25 years. I think that's considered a safety issue in some places. These ones aren't as bad as they could be, but they could be replaced for sure. You know, these have the all old fabric backs, the mail lockers.
Those are county board chairs.
These are the old county board. Okay,
Yes.
there you go. Those might even be early 80s.
Somebody who doesn't remember.
Those
Thanks.
are probably
Wow.
originals.
Not in the early 80s,
Yeah.
late 90s.
Okay. So, anyways, the mail lockers are probably undersized. You can't really squeeze a laptop or a big bag in there right now. I believe county board staff do put mail in there every day. They are all lockable. We've looked to enlarge those a bit. There's, you know, no coffee maker. I think right now most of you grab a coffee from the county board office. You know, we have the opportunity to kind of maybe use the caucus more because you're right behind where you sit for your meetings. You know, the television is also a little undersized, not really useful for much. If we wanted to stream a board meeting back there, or if a member steps out, they probably want to follow the progress, and we could upgrade that a little bit. You know, we have 5 chairs. The theme in this room right now is kind of blue, and that's about all that's tying it together. So, Wendy, next slide, please. Our first thought was, you know, upgrading those mail lockers into more. This is actually the DuPage project across the street. They use these where they have a mail slot, which would allow county board staff to slip in mail instead of having to lock every door every day. You'd have more room for, you know, rolled up drawings if you get them at committee meetings, or larger bags, purses, backpacks. You could fit in a locker. Instead of just seeing 10 at 2 tables, we could fit 3 tables in here with 6 chairs. In case, you know, we need to use it as a backup meeting room or something, some sort of event in the other room. More comfortable side chairs are an option here, showing a larger TV on the wall. We could also add, it was mentioned, a Wi-Fi printer. But county board members could print directly from their laptops if they need to print out a note sheet or something. Let's see. Break area, maybe add a coffee maker in there or a Keurig type thing to decrease the traffic outside of the hallways. Yeah, 18 new chairs, and I know staff occasionally does use this for like union negotiations. This is a very private space. These tables could be pushed together for a larger conference table type layout. And Wendy, if you could go to the next one. The biggest lift in this room would be the furniture. Around 20,000 of that are the lockers. We are showing 20 lockers right now just to balance it out, 10 and 10 each side. Demo costs are mostly removing the old ones. Those are probably to be broken down to get out of there. Painting the room, carpeting pretty standard. If we want to repaint the carpets and coordinate the countertop to match the new tables, I priced that out so we have that information. And then just a ballpark, you know, new TV on a mount and other amenities as we feel fit. But looking for feedback, any additional comments?
I'd like to start. First of all, Jeff, thank you so much for your work. Member Renahan came to me to discuss this some months ago, and so she and I have been working with Jeff and facilities management. And overall, I think that this rehabilitation of both of these spaces, especially in light of COVID, would give us a much more useful area, spread us out a little bit more in terms of social distance and being able to work a little more effectively. And also, I think these offices are, in my personal opinion, underutilized. I think I've been in my office 5 times in the last 2.5 years. And I think in particular in the caucus room, having the coffee in there and cleaning it up is certainly appropriate after probably 30 years, at least 25 years since any kind of renovation has occurred. So those are our thoughts in terms of thinking that this might be a much more efficient way to utilize our space. And also, especially in the caucus room, staff does use it, so it's got a lot more utility than we probably realize. I'll start with you, Member Hart, for our comments. Go ahead.
Thank you. And Member Ozak, you said that yourself and Member Renahan requested these plans.
We've been discussing it, yes.
So I'm personally shocked that in the midst of a global pandemic, at a time when so many people across DuPage County and the nation are struggling, that we're even entertaining the idea of redoing our offices and our caucus room. And frankly, caucus room is a lounge. That's what it is. Just last week, we talked about pausing the expenditures of our ARPA funds, and those were actually going to help community organizations, businesses, people struggling in our community. But just a week later, we're here talking about redoing our own personal space that only 18 people generally use 1 or 2 days a week. So I think it's misguided. I think it's misuse of taxpayer funding. I'm frankly shocked that we requested staff to even put time into this. And Jeff, it's no reflection on the plans. The plans are great, and Nick as well, but I'm just vehemently opposed to the message that this sends to our community at this very difficult time. From a personal standpoint as well, that caucus room is named after a late colleague of ours, Darren McBride. And my guess is that no one even sought to consult his family before drawing up plans to redo it. So I'm opposed to this. I think the whole committee should be, and frankly, I'm surprised we're discussing it. Thank
Okay, Mr. Hart, in response to that, first of all, the room is named after Mr. McBride, but it certainly wasn't funded by his family in any fashion. And there's absolutely no reason that we can't continue to have our photo and his memory responded to. I think that this issue, we have an area where, especially in these offices, I think especially in light of COVID, that we really need to consider having a more open space and a more usable space for when we need to use our offices. And I think that this would be a really appropriate time to do this, and we're doing it for minimal expense in-house. Member Desart, did you have a comment?
I did. I just wanted to say that I have never once used back offices over there, not once. So, I mean, I know that when we were talking about some of the JPS, help me with the legislation.
I'm sorry.
The legislation, JPS legislation, pardon?
The Safety Act?
The Safety Act,
Yes.
thank you, it didn't come to me.
Yes, go ahead.
That we
Sorry.
needed more offices and places to put people. I wouldn't mind giving all that back space to other offices where we were talking about needing people for the Safety Act. Because like I said, I've never once used my office back there. And maybe if people are if board members are using those offices, maybe conduct a survey with the board members saying, Mr. Zay, how often do you use the office? Where would you like to use the office more if it were different? You know, nobody talked to the board members on if they want to use the offices or how they want to use their offices. I personally don't need that office. If I wanted to have a meeting, I'd go to the caucus room. And my only suggestion about the caucus room, love the idea of coffee in there, love the idea of a printer in there, because there are often times that I want to print something here and I email it to Dana, but that would free up, you know, Dana's time if I could just print it myself. But I would make a suggestion, if we spend any money, I mean, I don't think we need new furniture. I don't think we need, that one chair was $1,500, you said. I think we've got enough resources here in the building, but if we did change anything about the caucus room, my wish list would be pleased to put in a bathroom in there. Because if some of these meetings last 2 or 3 hours and I'm walking all the way around, you know, to get to the ladies' rooms, but if we had one in the caucus room, that would make a lot more sense. That's
I'd like
That's
to
my
make,
comment.
I appreciate your comments about that. A bathroom was definitely not in our budget in terms of what we're looking at to do this. I think one of the main features of this plan is that there will definitely be staff utilization of this area. If you think about the chairman's office, there is definitely a lack of space in that office. And in light of COVID, do we all need to have 10 or 15 people trying to get coffee at one time, et cetera, in the chairman's office? So I think having a space which we can utilize more, but also more importantly, most importantly, that staff could be able to utilize. Any of these guys could just, or these men or women could just grab, you know, we need to do this, take your stuff over there. There'd be a TV in at least one of the rooms. So I think that it would be a much better utilization of our space for what I consider a really minimal cost.
I have to go to a different meeting, but I just
Okay,
want
go
to say
ahead.
that 99% of the time I'm in the caucus room, I'm in there alone. So
Yeah,
there are no other
but I
people.
think that especially staff being able to utilize it would be a great idea. Mr. Zay?
Yes. And just so, members, sorry, just, maybe we should get input from other members. So again, we're on the same, you know,
You and I.
I know, it's synergy, it's scary. And then the world is coming. You know, I understand and the offices are not used. The caucus room has been remodeled. I mean, was that 7 years ago? So it's somewhat new. My concern is, I mean, as I brought up, I think the boardroom is more urgent than the caucus room. I have no problem with redoing the offices for a small minimal amount, but redoing the caucus room and spending almost $50,000 on the two projects, I just think at this time it's not warranted, especially when people don't use it. I mean, we do have a few members that use the offices back there. I'd like to get their input on what they would like to see. But to do anything right now, I mean, spend $50,000 on basically not even a necessity. I mean, we talk about a new TV. Actually, we bought that TV. The board members did years ago. I mean, when we wanted one, we didn't burden the county with it. We bought it. So again, I would like to get some more input, obviously, because it's the whole board, and see what they think on this. I just can't see redoing the caucus room. If we wanted to do something in time on the office is fine, but I really don't think this is the right time to be spending that larger amount of money on the caucus room. If we could do the offices and people agreed for that small amount, I have no problem with it. But to redo the caucus room and spend $45,000, I think is really not the time to do it.
We can certainly, of course, we can certainly ask the board members their thoughts and input for this. I really think, though, that definitely we can obviously split the projects up, which is nice too, because they are on two separate sides of the hallway. But I think the first part of this is really important, because I think we are able to bring staff in there and use it. And I also think that it opens up this area. And you know something, we're all back in dance. We've been, 2 months. We didn't even get 2 months of level 5. So I think opening up the area would be a really more judicious issue for public health, and not having everyone, one on top of each other, et cetera. So I think it would be a more useful area. Plus, the important thing is that staff would then be able to pull each other into one of these offices. So it would actually be more utilized. And I think so at least splitting it up is certainly fine with me. But I think that doing something with these offices would be really important.
But as it said in the presentation, we have a conference room downstairs on the second floor that's got 18 seats that no one uses. So, I mean, there's room for staff to do stuff. I mean, just because we move it up here, it doesn't mean all of a sudden they're magically going to have meetings up here. They have their own offices. They have areas where to go.
But just think about how many are in the county boardroom or county board office. So they'd be able to pull people over if they had someone from the outside coming over. Yes, Mr. Hart.
Well, we can easily walk downstairs using the conference room, to Member Zay's point. I'm also picking up on what Member Zay said. I think before, maybe next time we move towards putting staff time on developing plans, maybe we get consensus from more than 2 board members before we proceed. And then lastly, on the COVID point, right now we have individual offices that serve individual board members, but we're proposing combining board members into the single room. That doesn't sound in the interest of public health.
It's a more open space so that you have
Still
more
2 people in a room
circulation.
versus 1. So I'm again opposed to this. I don't think that we should be even looking at this at this point in time. I think we need to get through ARPA and serving our community and the more pressing needs that actually deal with individuals. Pardon me. So I hope the 2 of us that are here still, don't move forward with this. I don't think it's the right time. Thank you.
Well, we will go ahead. I think the best thing to do would be if, Nick, if you could go forward and send an email out to each of the board members with the plan attached. And Jeff, you've done a great job. I really appreciate it. And I'll work with you and we'll have some ideas talking about what we are thinking about and our rationale for doing this.
So what we'll do is we'll send a copy of the PowerPoint out to all the board members. We'll work on a messaging from either you or I, and then it'll go out in the next week or so and just get the input from the rest of the board members.
I think that would be a great idea. And we could certainly talk about doing both projects separately, but I think that opening up the board offices would be a much more better utilization of the space for a really minor cost. So let's go ahead with that, and I'll talk to you about that, and we'll get that out to the board members. Thank you. Any other comments or discussion? Thank you so much, Jeff. Appreciate it. Any other comments or discussion? Okay. On any old business? Mr. Zach?
While we're talking about board, has there been any discussions about doing the boardroom?
Yeah.
I know after COVID, we kind of spread out. We took everything down. Now we're all back on top of each other again, and we're back to masks. So has there been any discussion on looking at that at least?
Without a doubt. So first of all, if the direction from the health department or the will of the board is to put the plexiglass up, we've got it taken down and very close. That board can be put up within a matter of an hour. So that direction can go. The direction we received from the board to look at the boardroom overall, we are doing that. Facilities is working with our consultant, and we're looking at it from, I mean, obviously there's a lot of problems with that room. It's original to the building, so it's 40 plus years old. We're looking at it from sound, from lighting, from IT. We're actually looking at it, how to multi-purpose the room, you know, public service announcements, things like that. So we are looking at that. And if you look at the list that I provided the board, I can even say it under the line, but it's one of the options under the line. So as we move forward, we're working with our consultant White to come up with just a cost estimate to know what it is and to give you guys an option for consideration to later date.
Another option or another important consideration when you're talking about the boardroom is security.
Absolutely. That's part of it. That's absolutely part of it.
Something that, having been on boards for 10 years, is a really important factor to me. I think the boardroom issue is we're going to have to see where we go with that, because there are so many moving parts to it.
And there have been plans in the past.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about the offices, there was a plan to take it out over the cafeteria at one point.
Yeah.
And build it out that way and get rid of those offices and build a boardroom over there. So, I mean, there's many options over there.
That was the original shell space above the new annex.
New annex
was intended for a boardroom as well as the county board offices around that's been utilized. So yes, it's always been in the works. That room is probably the single oldest room in this 421 building that has not, I mean, it's been touched, but there hasn't been wholesale. So it's, like I said, it's 40 plus years old.
And there's a lot of options when you get to flexibility for the room. My previous board, District 87, redid their basement area. They had a boardroom that's probably about the size of this room. And, you know, it was still flexible, tables and seating, but they went downstairs, renovated offices along the side of their basement. They're in a former library. And then they did, again, it's flexible. You've got flexible use tables, updated the background, you know, television, that sort of thing. So they were able to make it, but again, they have a very large public space, but it is a downstairs entry. So there's some element where you could increase security if necessary. And so they did a really nice job over there. So I'll be sure to get some photos to you over that. But one other thing about the boardroom, I just lost my train of thought. I personally would like to see the plexiglass brought back, and I'll send you a message or an email to that effect.
Whatever the will of the board is.
We went from significant high transmission in DuPage County last Friday, and we really don't know what we're dealing with this variant in terms of spread. So I'd like to see it put back up. I think we took it down a little too soon. So any other discussion?
We have some new business.
Any new business? Go ahead.
First one is, if you recall, back in April, we bid out electricity. We will be bidding on natural gas. The bids are on the street. The bids will be open Friday. we have to act on that by the end of the day. So we will be evaluating that. We will let everybody know how the evaluations go, and then it'll come back to the committee in September as an informational. But on the spot markets, the prices can't be held even overnight.
So you'll be handling it the same way we did.
Correct.
Yeah, so I will sign
Super.
off on that contract, notify the board Friday, just to let everybody know. Initial indications worldwide, our natural gas prices are way up.
Okay.
So I don't know what we'll see. Hopefully it'll be competitive, but I mean, we're a little bit fearful what we might see on Friday when we open.
The only other one is the Ring Road, which is a DOT project, is going very, very well. We anticipate the switch will go over this Thursday. So you'll be getting emails on that from me probably today and tomorrow.
So by Tuesday next week, normal entrance into this parking garage, the project will move from there. It'll be completed, I think by tomorrow, this first one, and it'll move to the back half of the complex, which won't affect this. So by next Tuesday, coming in should be normal for board members.
Well, I've been parking on the top floor, so that's
Sure.
given me a tour of the.
Yeah, there you
entire
go. Right,
structure, So
right.
that's a good eye opener. So, all right, any other new business? Hearing none, move to adjourn. All in favor?
I
Thank you.
Getting older here is probably Angela's desk.